Today I'm going to read a piece of literature called The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. This was a story that described the horrible treatment that women had to face in the 1900s when they went through depression. In those times, people did not understand depression and did not believe they exist. I feel like this is a story that I can relate to because, like so many people, we've had to face depression from time to time in life. Sometimes we didn't agree with the treatments we had to receive, but we lived through them just as Miss Gilman has herself. I really discovered something at last, though watching so much at night when it changes, so I finally found out. The pattern does move, and no wonder. The woman behind it shakes it. Sometimes I think there are a great many women behind it, and sometimes only one, and she crawls around fast, and her crawling shakes it all over. Then a very bright spot, she keeps still in the very shady spots. She too just takes hold of the bar and shakes them hard. And she is all the time trying to climb through. But nobody could climb through the pattern. It strangles so. I think that is why it has so many heads. To get through, and then the pattern strangles them off and turns them upside down and makes their eyes white. If those heads were covered or taken off, it would be not so half so bad. I think the women get out in the daytime, and I'll tell you why privately. I've seen her. I can see her out of every one of my windows. It is the same woman I know, for she is always creeping, and most women do not creep by daylight. I see her in a long shaded lane, creeping up and down. I see her in those dark grape arbors, creeping all around the garden. I see her on the long road under the trees, creeping along. And when a carriage comes, she hides under the blackberry vines. I don't blame her a bit. It must be humiliating to be caught creeping by daylight. I always lock the door when I creep by daylight. I can't do it at night, for I know John will suspect something at once. And John is so queer now that I do not want to irritate him. I wish he would take another room. Besides, I don't want anybody to get that woman out at night but myself. I often wonder if I can see her out of the windows at once, but turn as fast as I can see only out of one at a time. I have watched her sometimes away off in the open country, creeping as fast as a cloud shadow in a high wind. If only the top pattern could be gotten off from under one, I mean to try it, little by little. I have found it out another thing, but it shan't be this. But I shan't tell it this time. It does not trust people too much. There are only 2 more days to get this paper off, and I believe John is beginning to notice. I do not like the look in his eyes, and I heard him ask Jeannie a lot of professional questions about me. She had a very good report to give. She said I slept a great deal in the daytime. John knows I don't sleep very well at night, for all I'm so quiet. He asks me all sorts of questions, too, and I pretend to be very loving and caring, as if I couldn't see through him. Still, I wonder if he acts so, sleeping under his paper for 3 months. If only interests me, but I feel John and Jeannie are secretly affected by it. Hooray, this is the last day, but it is enough. John had to stay in town overnight and won't be out until this evening. Jeannie wanted to sleep with me, the sly thing. But I told her I should undoubtedly rest better for all night, all alone. Then that was clever, for really I wasn't alone a bit. As soon as I was in moonlight and the poor thing began to crawl and shake the pattern, I got up and ran to help her. I pulled and she shook. I shook and she pulled, and before morning we had peeled off the yards of that paper. A strip about as high as my head and half around the room. And then when the sun came and that awful pattern began to laugh at me, I declared I would finish it today. We would go away tomorrow, and they are moving all my furniture down again to leave things as they were before. Jeannie looked at the wall in amazement, but I told her merrily that I did it out of pure spite and vicious thing. She laughed, and she wouldn't mind doing it herself, but I must not get tired. How she betrayed herself that time, but I am here, and no one person touches that paper but me, not alive. She tried to get me out of the room. It was too patent, but I said it was so quiet and empty and clean now that I believed I would lie down again and sleep. all I could, and not to wake me even for dinner. I would call when I woke. So now she is gone, the servants are gone, and things are done. And there's nothing left but the great bedside nailed down, with the canvas mattress we found on it. We shall sleep downstairs tonight and take the boat home tomorrow. I quite enjoyed the room. Now it's bare again. How those children did not care about here. The bedside is fairly gnawed, but I must get to work. I have locked the door and thrown away the key into the front path. I don't want to get out, and I don't want anybody to come in till John comes. I want to astonish him. I've got a rope up here that even Janie did not find. If the woman does get out and tries to get away, I could tie her. But I forgot I cannot reach far without anything to stand on. This bed will not move. I tried to lift and reach until I was lame when I got so angry a little piece at one corner, but it hurt my teeth. Then I peeled off all the paper I could reach standing on the floor. It sticks horribly, and the pattern just enjoys it. And all these struggling heads and bobbling eyes and welding fungus growths just shriek. I'm getting angry enough to do something desperate. To jump out of the window would be admirable exercise. But the bars are strong enough to try. Besides, I wouldn't do it. Of course not. I know well enough to take a little step that's improper and might be misconstrued. I do not like to look out the windows, even if there are many of those creeping women, and they creep so fast. I wonder if they shall come out of the yellow wallpaper as I did. But I'm scarcely fastened by my well-hidden rope. You don't get me on the road there. I suppose I shall have to get behind the pattern when it comes night, and it's hard. It is so pleasant to be out in the great room and creep around as I please. I don't want to go outside. I won't, even if Jeanie asks me to. For outside you have to creep on the ground and everything is green instead of yellow. But I can creep smoothly on the floor, and my shoulder just fits in that long smooch around the wall so I can't lose my way. Why, there's John at the door. It's no use, young man, you can't open it. How he does call and pound. Now he's crying for an axe. It would be a shame to break down that beautiful door, John dear, said the gentle voice. The key is down to the front steps under a plantain leaf. This silenced him for a few minutes. Then he said very quietly indeed, "Open the door, my darling." "I can't," I said. "The key's in the front door under a plantain leaf." And then it said it again several times, very gently and slowly. It said so often they had to go see. And at God, of course, he came in. He stopped short by the door. "What is the matter?" he cried. "For God's sakes, what are you doing?" I kept on creeping just the same. But I looked him over my shoulder. "I've got out at last," said I, "in spite of you and Jane, and I pulled off most of the paper so you can't put me back. Now why should that man have fainted, but he did, and right across my path by the wall, so that I had to creep over him every time."